Now, let me then return on the 2022 application process. The applications process that I'm going to be announcing now is also open to individuals who are already enrolled at institutions but are without funding and they qualify financially for NSFAS funding. I'm pleased to say that the application system will be open from Tuesday, the 2nd of November, 2021, until the 7th of January, 2022, when the National Senior Certificate results are released. So we are talking about a period of just over 2 months for students to apply. The application season has previously been open from September to November annually. The reason for this was to allow students to apply well in advance before the upcoming academic year, but most importantly to allow NSFAS to process these applications in time before the approaching academic year starts, and to give students time to submit missing supporting documents if necessary. I'm aware that there's been some concern about the perceived late opening of applications this year. However, I would like to reassure everyone and the country as a whole that this will in no way disadvantage those who seek NSFAS for support for their post-school studies. For a while now, NSFAS applicants have complained about the time they have had to wait for a funding decision from the scheme if they had applied. This was due to the thorough verification process needed to identify eligible students. This prompted the scheme to go back to the drawing board and develop an applications process now and systems that are not only user-friendly but will also provide real-time responses to students without compromising the application validation process. Now, let's not speak big English. What is real-time? Real-time, it means for most of the applicants, as I will explain, will know as soon as they apply, almost there and then. They will be able to know whether they qualify or not. That is the new addition and improvement. Although it will not be everybody, but it will be the majority of the applicants. We will explain this a little bit more further down. NSFAS began working on this process earlier in this year, and the time was needed to perfect the process, and this meant that applications could not open in September as usual. It was critical that we waited until the system was ready for implementation. I am assured by NSFAS that the new faster application process will make up for any perceived lost time and will see many students receive their funding results much faster. As I say, the majority of the results will be immediately available as you apply. You will get an immediate indication if you qualify, and others may take up to 48 hours, with very few exceptions that will take beyond that. By the way, I'm not only assured by NSFAS, I was at NSFAS offices on Tuesday morning, and I went through the system. It was demonstrated to me, and I could see indeed applications, just the dry run, coming and then confirming at the same time you qualify or you have to wait for a short while. This was a result of the fact that NSFAS initiated an enterprise-wide review of all critical systems aimed at delivering mandated services to students and other stakeholders, including new applications. Of course, the NSFAS leadership is here. You will be able to have a chance to ask them directly if we are interested in more detail on this scope. One of the areas that have been reviewed extensively are the processes and enabling technologies centered around the organization's ability to assess, confirm, and communicate eligibility decisions to students. These improvements entail partial system redesign, a fresh look at some business processes, and closer integration with some of our key partners in determining whether students qualify, such as the South African Revenue Services, the Department of Home Affairs, the Department of Basic Education, the Independent Examinations Board, and the credit bureaus. The magnitude and scope of these changes warranted a delay in the launch of the 2022 application cycle, as I have said. And also these will not, as I have explained, impact negatively, especially for the majority of our students. The applicants, by the way, more than 60% are SASSA grant recipients, and we are able to establish, to double-check this instantly, if indeed they've been SASSA beneficiaries. And they make up approximately 65% of the cohort of student applicants, that is the SASSA beneficiaries. The balance of approximately 35% of the cohort of students applicants will go through further processing, but this time be given a much faster response than in previous application cycles. The faster response time in these cases is made possible by a renewed commitment by our partners, as I have outlined them. I look forward to hearing reports of a successful NSFAS application system, and I urge students to apply as soon as possible and to provide the necessary information to support their applications and ensure that the process goes smoothly and quickly, as it is meant to be. Who qualifies for NSFAS funding? Let's remind ourselves this is a very important matter. Students qualify to get NSFAS funding if you are a South African citizen or permanent resident who plans on registering or already studying at a public university or TVET college in South Africa. And as I have said, they will fall into the categories of SASSA grant recipients or people whose combined family income is not higher than 350,000 rand per annum, and people living with disabilities, as I have said, with combined household income not exceeding 600,000 per annum. The correct supporting documents are important in ensuring that NSFAS processes your funding application in time for your registration at an institution of higher learning. Students must go through the list of required supporting documents, which include the following. All applicants must provide a copy of a South African ID, a temporary ID issued by the Department of Home Affairs. Non-SASSA applicants must also provide ID copies of their parents or legal guardians or spouses. I nearly said spies. And also smart ID cards with a copy with both sides of the smart ID must be provided. We also need proof of income. Applicants and all parents who are non-SASSA, they should provide latest pay slip which is not older than 3 months, UIF letter, appointment letter, or retrenchment letter. It must be noted that no affidavits will be accepted as proof for any of the funding requirements. We don't accept that. How and where to apply? I think that this will be on our platforms and the processes. I'm not going to read them here. If you do not have a digital device or access to the internet, do not stress. Simply pop into your nearest National Youth Development Agency or to Song Center to apply following the same steps. But there are other details on how your application should be done. Prospective students are urged to apply to institutions via their application processes for a study place, as we must remind each other. NSFAS will tell you that you do qualify, but you will only be able to access that bursary if you are accepted at a public university or public TVET college. If you are not, obviously you won't get the money because it means you haven't met the criteria to be accepted at an institution. It's very important, therefore, and I hope that many students have already applied.